This is a Squiz podcast. We're your shortcut to being informed.
Squiz Kids! It's your daily news fix. Fun, free, fresh.
Hello and welcome to Squiz Kids Today, your fresh take on what's happening in the world around you. I'm Bryce Corbett. It's Wednesday, September 15. In Squiz Kids Today, Project Jurassic Elephant, Germany's cow toilets, Rugby hero finally an Aussie, and meet Tasmania's turbo chook. That's what's making news, kids style.
The lowdown.
If you've seen Jurassic World or any of the Jurassic Park movies, you'll know that they're about scientists bringing dinosaurs back to life by cleverly extracting dinosaur DNA from fossils. Well, real life is about to imitate the movies, following news yesterday that scientists in America and the United Kingdom plan to bring woolly mammoths back to life, with hopes that woolly mammoth calves could soon be walking the tundras of the Arctic Circle, possibly within the next 10 years. What's a tundra? It's the name given to the vast open, treeless plains and grasslands found in polar regions. And what's a woolly mammoth? It's a great big hairy elephant that roamed the earth in prehistoric times. Think Manny from Ice Age movies. And what's DNA? It's the genetic code inside every living thing that determines how that thing looks and functions. 14 years ago, scientists found the remains of a woolly mammoth calf, frozen in the tundra of Siberia, a freezing cold part of Russia. The dead mammoth was more than 42,000 years old. Yet, because it had been frozen all that time, it was in remarkably good condition. I've stuck a link to photos of it in today's episode notes. The plan now is to extract DNA from the mammoth remains, combine it with the DNA of Asian elephants that live on the earth today, and try to bring into the world a little herd of woolly mammoth calves, which would eventually be set free to wander the tundra of Siberia, just as their ancestors did 40,000 years ago. Imagine that.
Spin the globe.
Each day we give the world globe a spin and find a news story from wherever it stops. And today we've landed in Germany, where toilets have been built for cows to try to save the environment. They're being called moo-loos for obvious reasons, and they work by collecting cow poo and wee. The trick is to train calves to use the toilets, in the same way dogs or cats are trained to only go to the toilet in certain places, as in a kitty litter or outside in the backyard, and not in your living room or the kitchen. According to scientists, cows are smarter than most people think and can be trained to poo and wee only in certain places. Who knew? Cows have really gassy stomachs, and their farts are a major cause of the greenhouse gases that cause global warming. And their wee is also highly concentrated with something called nitrate, which also contributes to global warming. It's hoped that by collecting cow poos and cow wee, we'll be able to minimise the impact that our cud-chewing friends have on the environment. I've stuck a link to a photo of a calf entering a moo-loo in today's episode notes.
Sport time.
He's Australia's newest sporting hero, and thanks to a change in citizenship rules, Wallaby star Quade Cooper is finally going to be allowed to become an Aussie citizen. If you caught the rugby match on Sunday between the South African Springboks and the Australian national team, the Wallabies, you'll know Australia's victory was pretty much down to Quade Cooper's boot, and the fact he kicked 8 goals from 8 attempts. Quade, who is now 33, has lived in Australia since he moved here from New Zealand at the age of 13, and he's played rugby for Australia 71 times. But until a change in rules announced yesterday, he wasn't eligible for Australian citizenship. To be an Australian citizen means you are entitled to an Australian passport and all the rights and privileges that Australians enjoy. Quade, who many hope will front up again this weekend when the Wallabies face world champs South Africa again, said he was grateful to finally have a chance to call himself an Aussie.
Animal Kingdom.
If you're listening in today from Tasmania, you'll have to excuse us for being quite excited about something you probably already know. The mighty turbo chook. Officially known as the Tasmanian native hen, the turbo chook is a flightless bird that, as its nickname suggests, can run really fast. Like 50 kilometres an hour fast. Imagine that. If it sped past your school during pick-up or drop-off, it would get a ticket. A researcher studying Tasmania's very own roadrunner said that there used to be hundreds of flightless bird species all around the world, but most became extinct once they came into contact with humans. I bet you can figure out why. Hungry humans versus birds that can't fly away. The turbo chook became extinct on the Australian mainland too, but managed to hang on in there in Tassie, where locals love their quirky native bird. Check your episode notes for a video of their turbocharged behaviour.
Time for the quiz.
This is the part of the podcast where you get to test how well you've been listening. Question number 1. What animals are being trained to use a toilet in Germany? That's right, they're cows. Question number 2. What sort of prehistoric creature could soon be walking the tundras of the Arctic Circle? Yeah, that's right, it's the woolly mammoth. Question number 3. The Tasmanian hen is better known by locals as what? Yeah, it's the turbo chook.
Shout-outs.
It's September 15, birthday of Prince Harry. Keep it royal today, Prince H. It's also a special day for these Squiz Kids celebrating a birthday today. Harris from Gosford East, Sophie from Geelong, Kayla from Mornington, Max from Green Hills Beach, Cameron from Springwood, Mariam from St Clair, Jack from Warrnambool and Sarah from Mitchelton. And a belated birthday shout-out goes to Zara from DY. Plus, because our friends in Melbourne, Canberra and most of New South Wales are in lockdown, we're sending out home learning herograms. And as this is the last week of Term 3 for most of you, we wanted to include as many classroom herograms as possible. So, we're going to test run a little lockdown background music. Hit it. And it's a home learning herogram to Class 5K from Glendenning Public School, Class 5-6T and Mrs Tailford at Ellison Public School, to Ms Brown and all the kindy teachers at Lindfield Public School, to Class 4LA and Ms Antoniz at Mount View Primary School, also to Miss Webb at Mount Terry Public School in Albion Park, to Class 4W and Mrs O'Connell at St John's Catholic Primary in Narrowena, to Class 3N at Matthew Pearce Public School in Balcombe Hills, to Year 2 and Mrs Hardwick at St Francis de Sales in Woolaware. More herograms also go to Class 2KB and Katie at Kew Primary School, Mrs Wright, Mrs Warland, Mrs Niven and Mrs Church at Catherine Macaulay School in Orange, Mrs Emmon at Mount Warrigal Public School, to Mrs Reeves and Mrs Cale at Hornsby North Public School, to Class 3-4M and all the teachers at Gosford East Public School, and to Mr Brown at Blackwell Public School in St Clair. Lastly, to all the Grade 6 classes at Drummoyne Public School, your teachers are so proud of your dedication and perseverance with home learning. There, that wasn't too bad now, was it? Don't forget, if you've got a birthday coming up and you want a shout-out, or if you're after a classroom shout-out, or you'd like to send a home learning herogram, drop us a line at squizkids@thesquiz.com.au. Well, that's all we have time for. Thanks for listening to Squiz Kids today. We'll be back again tomorrow. In the meantime, get out there and have a most excellent day. Over and out. Squiz Kids is proudly supported by the Judith Neilson Institute for Journalism and Ideas.
Squiz Kids! It's your daily news fix. Fun, free, fresh.